sure what people told you about this call tonight, but we call it the Newcomers call. It's not entirely accurate because we let newcomers and again, we're not going to say old comers, we're going to say already comers, people that are already part of the company, join with us as well. And which is a time to introduce the company to you a little bit more and let you ask questions if you'd like to about actives, about products, about where we're going and what we've got going on and things like that. So I'm going to do things a little bit different tonight. I've got a little bit of a presentation that if I can figure this out, we'll actually use it. So if you look at, if people were to say, well, what kind of company is Actives? And you look at this picture, you might say, well, Actives appears to be a party company. They like to go and they hang out in pools, they go to resorts. This one is actually in Cancun. And actually, you'd be right. We like to party. We like to have fun. And in fact, we're getting ready, as some of you know, for an incentive trip to Punta Cana this weekend for a week. And so we're going to have about, oh, I don't know, Angie, 120 people there in total or something like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Or you might say, well, maybe they are a money giveaway company. I hope I don't embarrass Christina Godoy, who I saw on here, but here's a picture of you, our only A16. She's like, what picture are you showing? What picture? And this is her $100,000 bonus check for hitting A16. She's our first one, but guess what? It's not a case where only the first one who crosses the finish line gets this. Anybody who crosses the A16 finish line gets that as well. If you look at this, you might say, well, maybe they're just a presentation company. And if you look closely, you might think, those people all look Hispanic. Maybe they're a Mexican presentation company, which is partially true. Our largest market is in Mexico. We started there earliest back in, November of 2018, 17, 18. Yes, we're a little bit over 3.5 years old. And then you might say, well, listen, I see some of these people. In fact, some of these people, some of you are actually in this picture, and some of you might recognize your upline in here. You might recognize a place in Mexico, a place in Peru, which is another market that we're in. If you look closely at this picture, you'll see some writing in Japanese, and you'll see that we're a Japanese company, so that we are an international company. And then if you look at this one, you might say, I don't know what that kind of company they are. I see a world famous scientists in the form of Dr. Joe McCord and Dr. Brooks Hyberson, Dr. Dow, who are geneticists and pioneers in free radical biology and oxidative stress. And then some of you may not know that this is Mama Coco, the inspiration for the role in the movie Coco, who you might notice is holding a bottle of Genomics that I think she calls her energy pills or something like that. But at 107, she's entitled to call them whatever she wants. And it's kind of fun. Isn't that interesting? Dr. Joe McCord, I don't think has any idea that Mama Coco is taking Genomics, but it's actually pretty interesting. If you really want to know what kind of company we are, we're a company that now spreads literally across the world. We're not in every single market. We're not in every single country. But just as they used to say about the British Empire, I can tell you that the sun never sets on Actives, because we do have people in Australia. We have people in Japan. We have people who are ordering product from Taiwan. Again, our largest official markets are, in this order, Mexico, the United States, Peru, and Japan. Will soon officially be in Colombia and Bolivia. And so we've got a lot of exciting things going on. Genomics was our initial product. It stands for genome expression. And so you might say, wow, this sounds like a hardcore scientific company. Well, actually, we're that too. We really are on the cutting edge of epigenetics, which is science that is all about how you can influence your genes to operate in an optimal fashion. I think most of you know this cast of characters. There I am, my partner Ryan Thompson, and Angie Hawthorne, who's the real brains in the outfit. keeps us all going. We've all worked together in other companies before and have had some really good success. And when we got actives together, we said, you know, we want to copy and repeat some of the successes that we've done before. We want to do some things differently. We want to make it easier for people to make money. At a time when in the US economy, there's an estimate of 45% of people are looking for a so-called side hustle. They're looking for additional revenue streams into their families. And we want to be a real viable option for them. We've proven that we are in Mexico and other countries that have a head start on the US. We're literally hundreds and thousands of people have increased their monthly family income by $100, $200, $500, $20,000 a month, and going up, and so that makes a big difference, and it's been really fun to be part of. Because of the strength of our science, we've been able to do something a little bit different. We've been able to attract just a world-class scientific, well, I sometimes call it scientific advisory board, because we have some great scientists like Dr. Joe Maroon, Dr. Brett Earle, but we have other people who aren't technically scientists, like Vice Admiral Matt Winter and Sinead Irwin. We have people who are like Dr. Hernandez, who's been a longtime colleague of Dr. McCord's and has led the research charge in the area of oxidative stress and the over 200 diseases that are attached to that condition, and the effect of genomics in increasing our body's production of something called NRF2, which is a protein transcription factor that really gives instructions for important genes, sometimes called survival genes, almost 1,000 of them, to strengthen the immune system and downregulate inflammation. And if you can do just those two things, I say just, it's a pretty complicated chemical process that occurs in our body, you'll be well on your way to a lot better health. Dr. Patel, he's a pain management specialist. He knows better than anybody that a lot of the pain in our lives and a lot of disease in our lives is from inflammation. And so we have some great talks given by him talking about Optimend and how it works, our pain management and inflammatory relief product. Then we have Richard Jones, who is a very well-known media guru. He's responsible for getting us to have some great media coverage in the Salt Lake area and other areas. And also we use their studios as the place that we originate our virtual meetings, worldwide meetings. In fact, there's another one that's going to be coming up in July. I won't share the date just yet, but you can make sure that you have some time in your lives in July, because it's going to be a great event that you can participate virtually. And now that restrictions are starting to be lifted, we're also going to make it possible for a limited number to attend in person and participate as well. Jeff Boast is a colleague of Dr. Joe Maroon, a world-class neurosurgeon, and together they have performed over 30,000 operations and surgeries, and the vast majority of which are involved removal of tumors in the brain and sometimes the spine. And because of that, they have a keen interest in things that affect the brain, and frankly, things that cause or can help you avoid cancer. And it's because of that background that well before they ever knew anything about actives, they knew about one of our special secret ingredients, butyric acid, that's found in link. They knew because they'd studied as scientists the effect that it had in terms of being anti-cancer, and also the effect it had on replenishing brain cells. But they said to me they could never figure out, because of the kind of disgusting taste and smell, they didn't think that despite the great benefits, that anybody would ever be able to figure out a way to let the masses participate in the great health benefits of butyric acid just because it was so nasty tasting and so nasty smelling. Well, that's where Al Zapp, another world-class scientist, comes in, and we licensed a form of butyric acid from him that not only covers up the smell, covers up the taste, but most importantly, delivers it exactly where the body needs it. And so there's a lot of testimonials out there regarding the benefits of not only genomics, but link. And Jeff Boast and Dr. Dr. Maroon talk a lot about those things, as well as tetrahydrocurcumin, because they also know that going back thousands of years in Indian Ayurvedic medicine, that turmeric and curcumin, which is derived from turmeric, have been used for pain relief, have been used for anti-cancer, have been used for all types of things, including what's really interesting. And I urge all of you to do whatever research you like. Our products can stand the test of examination. You don't have to take my word for it or anybody else's word for it. You can do the research yourself. And some of you might be interested to know that there's a lot of interesting science on the effect of curcumin and the thyroid. And so it's really great to have something that is biologically active in your system to counteract a lot of the things that we're putting into our bodies and the stresses that are upon it. So people, if they just look at this slide, say, oh, these guys are a product company, and they have nutraceuticals, and they have skincare products. And again, you'd be right. We're all that and more. But one thing you can depend upon is that the products that we offer have all been rigorously tested. They all have a ton of research that would be that if you ever need a doorstop in your house, or if you ever want to punish your children or get them into weightlifting, we can get you a lot of great research that they can carry around and get some exercise with, because there's a ton of research on every single one of our products, including our skincare products. Sometimes I'm guilty, despite the fact that I use it on all of this real estate that I have in my head. I don't talk about the skincare products nearly as much as I should. But recently, I went in and was looking at having my skin tested. And the person who was there, my wife had introduced me to her. She said, "What does your husband do? And what is he putting on?" Because his skin is much better than most guys his age. I didn't really like the guys his age quote that much, but I didn't really go there. I just assumed that she thought my age must be like 35 and just left it there. I didn't, she didn't say that, and I didn't say it either, but you just have to assume some things. And she said, I don't know. She said, most guys that I test on this, their skin is just really dry, and whatever he's using, I want to try it. So she's been trying it. We got her some Amora. And she is a firm believer and is recommending it to everyone. So I can tell you that the science behind Amora is just as strong. Not always touted as much as the science behind the other products, but it's tremendous. We call Genomics our cutting edge gene therapy, because it really does get right to the genetic level. That some of you that might have been familiar with a product called Protandim that was also developed by Dr. Joe McCord back in the day. He also found out after years of research, he didn't know this at the beginning, that the way that Protandim worked was by inducing the body's production of what I mentioned earlier, this NRF2. But he told me later, as we were getting ready to license his latest research, he said, David, it turns out quite by accident that probably that what you were doing, taking Protandim, was probably closer to what everybody should have been doing. And I started laughing. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I used to give you a hard time because I knew that you took 2 Protandim in the morning and 2 at night, when the instructions and what I was telling everybody else was to just take 1. He said, but it turns out you were probably closer because what we did with that particular product, really nice product, good product, he said, but what we did is we opened up a door, an entry into the cell for this very important ingredient, NRF2, this transcription factor, to come into the cell. And once it gets into the cell and it can operate on all the mitochondria in the cell, it can do some great things in terms of gene expression. Excuse me. But he said, what we didn't realize was at the same time that we were opening up a door, an entry, we were opening up an exit. And so, yes, the NRF2 got in, it just didn't last very long in the cell. It went through. He said, so what we've done with Genomics, he said, is that we open up the door to the cell, but we don't open up an exit. And so the transcription factor, the NRF2, is able to get in the cell and operate for much longer than it otherwise would, which is why Genomics is the most powerful NRF2 activator in the world and 10 times stronger than his earlier product. And it's really awesome to be part of that type of cutting edge science. I mentioned Optimen, stopping the pain. Link is a product that we won't spend a lot of time on, but that's that butyric acid I was talking about. And if you want to have some fun, I say it's fun, but just Google gut-brain connection and see what comes up. And you'll see that, hey, it's a good thing to strengthen that connection. If you can increase the gut health and look at all the things that butyric acid does, you're going to walk away saying, I need that in my life. We mentioned Nemora. The latest entry into our Hall of Fame products is Arrow. Arrow is a scientifically designed weight loss and energy product that really operates just as epigenetically as all of our other products. The ingredients have been specifically chosen to increase the metabolism, to help our natural fat cells. And we say fat cells and say, oh, I don't want to have any fat cells. No, that's not true. There are healthy fat cells. I'm happy to report, actually, there's basically two types of fat cells. There's the white fat cells, and there's brown fat cells. And I'm actually ecstatic that the good fat cells are brown fat cells. And I didn't make that up just because my name's Brown, but it's true. Brown fat cells are the ones you want. And in fact, some of our ingredients help turn that unhealthy white fat they can actually recruit them into being the healthy brown fat cells. And that's actually very important, so that by doing so, we have ingredients that help you shed those white fat cells and help prevent fat from even getting into the cells. That's where the fiber and the African mango and the inulin come in. And also controlling those blood sugar cravings and those things. We're dealing in a world with really biologically addictive food. They've known for years that combinations of sugar, salt, and fat are very addictive. In fact, did you know that studies show that rats will work 8 times harder to try and get sugar than they will for cocaine, that they've also become addicted to. Scientists have addicted rats to both cocaine and sugar, and guess which one they work harder for? Sugar. It's kind of interesting and kind of too bad to note that about 200 years ago, the average person consumed about 2 pounds of sugar. We consume over 150 pounds of sugar now. And so it's very addictive, and as are combinations of salt and fat. And so when Lay's potato chips, for example, says, bet you can't eat just one, they mean it, because they engineered it that way and they want you to be hooked. And so, you know what? We might say, well, up against the fast food giants and big food, how do we compete? Well, guess what? We're giving you some technological tools that are going to compete. They're trying to rewire your brain. They're trying to rewire your cells. So we give you the tools in this product to make sure that your genes are operating the way they should. Reduce those cravings, reduce the insulin insensitivity. Basically putting your body back in a state where it can combat it a little bit better. Of course, we still have to make good choices, but as we do that and add these products to our arsenal of weapons that we need to be healthy and strong and combat those things that are going to try and take our health away, we need every help that we can get. So I'm going to jump out of that and get back into the company. And I just want to mention that at the end of the day, out of all of those pictures, the ones that I like the most are just the ones that show people in some type of activity. There's a reason that we call the company Actives, because we want to activate every positive way that we can. If that's financial, if that's health, if that's social, if that's simply part of being something that's involved in changing the lives of literally tens and hundreds of thousands of people, soon to be millions, and you want to be part of that. Well, obviously you do. You're on this call tonight. So sometimes people that are on this call have heard me say this before. I'm a recovering lawyer. And as a recovering but not fully recovered lawyer, that means that once I get started on something I get really excited about, I hardly take a breath. And so I'm going to take a breath at this point. And if anybody has any questions or anything else you'd like to bring up, feel free. And if I put you all to sleep, now's the time to wake up. That means you, Griselda. Yeah. So